Hi, Dennis Weiss, Eagle Communication. Setting with the Kuntz family. Mom, as we have called her today, June Atkinson. Todd Kuntz over there, and we're here to talk about the benefit to the hospice organization of the golf tournament. We do this every year in honor of your father, Ed.
Yes.
So it's coming up June 15th.
Yep.
All right, how long has this been going on?
I think this is 20 years.
This is 19.
19 years?
19 years.
Well, if you include 2001, I think it's 20.
No, it's the 19th.
Okay.
There we go.
Excuse me, but
Yeah, no, Mom's always right. That's the rule, Todd. You want to get us slapped right on TV?
Nope, I will
Mom is
behave.
right.
I will
Okay,
behave.
that's the way that works. So, 20 years after this year, that's what we'll say, so
Okay.
Todd can feel like he's
All
right.
right.
Mom. Okay. It's a great thing. It's a lot of fun that day, but it didn't start out as a lot of fun. It didn't start out as a golf tournament. It started out with your family needing the services of Dickinson County Hospice. We've told the story before, but could you get it started, Todd, and let your mom chime in?
I think we kind of fell into hospice not actually knowing what hospice did. And I mean, at least I didn't. And they were there for us in our time of need and provided great facilities for us in our house and really benefited us to take care of Dad when he was really needing it. And it was something we didn't expect. And to me, it just seems like we fell into something really great that's a community asset for Dixon
So
County.
I'm going to ask you a question, June. I would imagine that you had no idea how much help you might need during that time, but you found out how much help was available. Fair statement?
that's a fair statement, yes.
Yeah.
When they told us in Houston to put him on hospice, I had no idea really anything about it. And these angels came in and were there when we needed them.
Wow.
So, and they supplied our bed and other equipment that you need when you're at
Nurses.
that point of your life.
So there's something to be said for the simple act of one human helping another that can't be measured.
That's right.
I mean, it's not money, it's not a bed, it's not physical. It is what one human transfers to another through the graceful act of helping. How do you measure that?
It's measureless.
Okay. All right. So we've been doing this a long time. This event, this golf tournament, is the golf tournament in our area that really makes a difference for our community. What do we need from the public?
Well,
Golfers?
we need golfers, but I think we have a full field this year, so
Okay.
we're in good shape.
So we need sponsors.
We need sponsors. We need just people to continue, even after the golf tournament, supporting their local hospice.
Okay, so let's pivot to those two things, Todd. Let's pivot to sponsors, which means if your business does not have a great thing to attach its name to, the Ed Kuntz Memorial Golf Tournament on the benefit of Dickinson County Hospice would be a great thing for you to be long-term attached to. And all you have to do is go out to the farmhouse and order cheesecake and Todd will show up. So, and then, oh, by the way, I want to be a sponsor for this organization. But the other thing I think is just awareness for hospice.
Yes.
What it is and what it does. You're pretty uniquely suited to describe that.
Yeah, and all the things that they do. I mean, it's immeasurable, and the kindness of the nurses, and just providing things that you wouldn't even think you would need, and then you find out, oh my goodness, we do need this, and what a help it is to take some of the burden off, and just for Dad to be able to finish his last days at home and not be in a hospital in a cold environment. Was really, really immeasurable, because when it came to the very end, we were allowed to be with our dad alone in our home and to see his last breaths, you know, and hospice made that a possibility, really.
Right.
That's right.
So I don't know of too many people that come with a issued knowledge of what hospice is and how it works. I certainly didn't. I think I learned about hospice when I came to Abilene, frankly, the word. I knew what it meant, but I didn't know what it meant in organizational effort. And I certainly had never met anybody that had taken advantage of the graceful help that comes with it. Now, I've had several people in my life since I came to Abilene whose families have benefited from hospice. And I guess I can testify that through secondhand that it's a huge thing for those families. Great benefit to our community. Because here's what it says, and you can stop me if I'm wrong, Mom. It says that Abilene cares. It says that people take their care into action, because this has a lot of people's money in it. And the benefits that are able to be offered here, whether it's through the golf tournament or other things, that people give to this. And people's care ends up in actual help to real people in real circumstances and need. And that says a great thing about our community.
At no cost to the patient needing it, and that's what people don't realize. I mean, they are funding their support to you and your family when you need it the most. The last thing you need to worry about is, how am I going to pay all these bills? Hospice comes in and takes care of those things for you.
I think that's amazing. So it's hard to talk about money and sadness at the same time, but we live in a community, in a world where you have to pay for things, and sometimes paying for things takes the burden off of people in a way that's hard to talk about. My dad passed away when I was just turned 15. And none of these things that we're talking about today I knew anything about. Certainly never imagined myself losing my father at 15. But I remember my Uncle Clayton coming up to my mom as we gathered down at our home place after that event and saying, "Ann, here's $500," and handed her $500. That sometimes money relieves burdens that are not solved by any other way. And us, the community, handing Dickinson County Hospice money goes directly to people who need that service.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab the hospice gal in here a minute. We're gonna take a little break. You don't have to jump and run. I saw the movement of the leg. I didn't want you leaving on me. So we're gonna take a little break. Sure enjoyed meeting you.
You too.
Enjoyed the conversation today about a great thing. Todd, we'll look forward to seeing you on June 19th?
15th.
June 15th.
Father's
Okay.
Day weekend.
Yes. Father's Day
Okay,
weekend.
Father's Day weekend, always Father's Day weekend,
Yep,
isn't
that's
it?
right.
Yes.
There's a reason.
We should have said that 5 times, but so Father's Day weekend, Father's Day weekend, Father's Day weekend. Now we said it 5 times.
Cheesecake, cheesecake, cheesecake.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Count on our team at Eagle for business class phone, internet, and technology solutions, because keeping your business connected is what we do. Eagle Communications, our community connected. Count on our team at Eagle for digital, radio, and TV advertising, because keeping your business connected is what we do. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Dennis Weiss back with Deb Bielefeld.
Correct.
Correct. Dickinson County Hospice. I struggle with last names sometimes. Sometimes first names, but Deb's, rolls right off
That'll
the tongue.
go.
So
Yeah.
my apologies. You're one of the angels as described, because you work here at the hospice.
I do.
And June told us that when the angels showed up at their home to care for Ed, you can't really top that line.
No,
That
no.
visual of that
Of the
is
angels.
very clear and
Yeah.
very high.
Yeah.
So tell us, how's hospice doing this year?
We are, unfortunately, we are having a lot of hospice patients, but we always feel that that's a good thing, because then we know the families are utilizing our services. We have a team of angels, and I'm the volunteer coordinator, so my job is to get a volunteer out if needed, which we do have a lot of volunteers in the field right now because we have so many hospice patients out there. But the team is the aides, the nurses, the office staff. Everybody has a different phase that they do, and our golf tournament is our one time a year fundraiser.
Okay.
This is the only time we have a fundraiser. And we do serve Harrington area also. We serve all of Dickinson County.
Right.
And so
Harrington Hope?
Harrington Hope. We don't cross county lines except if they have a doctor here locally.
Okay.
We do cross county lines. But other than that, we're strictly Dickinson County, and so that's one thing we can say is that we know the money we raise is always utilized in Dickinson County.
That money takes a very short trip.
Very short trip,
It
yes,
comes
absolutely.
from here and it goes back
Goes
into
right back
here.
into the community.
So let's pretend that the people who are viewing have no idea what hospice is, and let's describe the services that are offered here.
Okay. Hospice is a service that's ordered by your doctor if he feels like you have 6 months or less to live your life. That's the criteria. When we get the order from the doctor, the nurse goes out and evaluates, and that's when we determine what services are needed, how many times the aide goes out, if a volunteer is needed, the social worker goes out, helps them with paperwork that might be needed to help with. That's where the team effort, we have a hospice chaplain that we send out.
Rotating person or just
No,
one?
we have Lindsey Brummer,
Okay,
who is our
sure.
hospice chaplain, and he goes out probably the same day most of the time that we call him. And he will go to Chapman Enterprise, wherever. Now in Harrington, we have our own ministers down there that serve those people.
Okay.
So, and we have our own staff in Harrington of nurses, aides. We have an office down, if you've ever been in the Harrington, downtown, our office is right beside the city building in
Okay,
Harrington.
very good.
And so we keep a complete staff down there and a complete pool of volunteers down there also.
Do you coordinate both locations
I
for the
do.
volunteers?
I do,
Right.
yeah.
How many people is that wide list of volunteers?
Right now I have about 65 volunteers.
Amazing.
Not all of them want to go into the homes or nursing
Right.
homes. Some of them come and do newsletters for me. I have some that'll help at the golf tournament, that's all they do is help at the golf tournament.
Well, I
So-
think that's where I was drilling down to, Deb, is there's a job for almost anybody that simply wants to help. You don't have to be a
Absolutely.
skilled nurse
No.
to be a helpful volunteer
No.
at Dickinson County Hospice.
Nope. I even trained my husband to be a hospice
telling you,
volunteer.
even him?
Even him.
Even him, that's amazing.
And he has enjoyed. It's always a scary thing at first to think you're going to go into someone's home and they're a hospice patient and they're dying. But he has met a World War II vet, and that was 100. He is, it's just a great opportunity again to be in the community and, under the umbrella of hospice.
As I look around the room, I asked you this question when the camera wasn't on us, but there's a couple of quilts behind Dave over there that are beautiful.
Right.
I think what I want to speak to is that's part of volunteerism, if you will.
Absolutely.
There's a group of people. What's the name of the club that does
End
that?
of the Trail Quilters Guild is what it is. Yeah.
I think we had them on camera a year and a half
Yeah.
ago or so like that, but
Could be.
they are helping you in this organization through
Yes.
doing what they love to do.
Right. And I have a cabinet of quilts, and every time we admit a hospice patient, they receive a quilt.
Yeah.
And we tell them it's from the End of the Trail Quilters Guild, and those families are so appreciative. I have to tell you, recently, this is just a quick story, it's really a good one though. I have had a quilt in my cabinet of the Wizard of Oz theme, Dorothy and the
Okay.
Tin Man, and someone had made it years ago. And so we had a admit in Harrington, and the gal's name happened to be Dorothy. And I just picked up the quilt and I thought, Dorothy, I'm going to take the quilt down. Their family was in shock because this lady always told people that she was Dorothy from Kansas, like the Wizard of Oz. And they were so appreciative of that quilt. In her obituary, they wrote quite a lengthy story about the quilt and these two angels, and he used the term too, coming, the social worker and the volunteer coordinator, and giving that quilt. And so I had to share that with the Quilters Guild because they need to know what impact they have also
You bet.
on these patients with their quilts.
So I think we as humans often think that we know almost everything, right?
Oh yeah,
I think
like to
that's
be
often
in control.
and in control.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We simply don't know the value of a good deed or when the
No.
payoff comes.
No,
We
you're
do
right.
not. That's my opinion. You can write my name on it. But there's a great example of that.
Mm-hmm.
When the person who made that quilt with the Wizard of Oz would have had no clue
No,
what you would have
no,
done with it.
no.
You said it was in your closet in your quilt storage, so it had been there for a while.
Oh yeah.
You had no plan to give
No.
it to that person. You didn't know Dorothy was coming to give it to. But when you made the decision to walk over, that action step, you're going to take this quilt to this person and hand it off, that grace that was built in months or maybe years before.
Exactly.
It's being in the process of helping. That's the important thing. If you're in the process of helping, you're a helper.
That's right.
And that benefit accrues.
And you can do that in any phase of hospice as a volunteer. Like I said, I have one volunteer that comes in and does all my memorial thank yous for me. That's all she does is spends 2 hours a week writing up the thank yous, because those are things that I don't have time for always, and that a volunteer, and we need the volunteer hours. So to that 5% of our hospice care has to be volunteer.
Okay.
So it is a requirement for Medicare. So
I'll bet you don't have any problem meeting that 5%.
we don't. No, we don't. We never do. Yeah.
So what haven't we said about Dickinson County Hospice? A need that you have that we haven't talked about? Anything?
Probably the biggest need now is that we need sponsors for the golf tournament.
Okay.
This golf tournament is, I always gauge my previous year's success on how quickly my teams fill, and by Memorial Day I had all 16 teams filled.
That's good.
And
did we get a team in?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
yes,
good.
James talked to me about
That's
the team.
good. That's
yeah,
good.
Yeah. So
Not much of a golfer, but I
okay.
love to go out, and I have to say, I got blueberry cheesecake out of my last team.
Oh, there you
Yes,
go.
everybody
yeah.
else was eating
yeah.
hamburger and beans.
And you
I got blueberry
cheesecake.
cheesecake.
Wow.
I
I don't
just-
know how you rate to get
I don't
that,
either,
but
but-
I've never had cheesecake.
So I'm just going to count it as an act of grace, and I'm going to take it.
I would.
I think it might have had something to do with Todd Kuntz.
It could, absolutely.
Just saying. So. And Tammy. Right.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. But that day, it's geared as a fun day. The other thing I'd like to mention is if you're not a golfer, we do the ball drop. And it's such a fun thing because you can
Show up.
or we have sheets at the farmhouse.
Oh,
We have
sign up.
sheets in Solomon, and all
Okay.
you have to do is pick a number. It's $5 per number.
I got you.
At that day, we put up the cherry picker. We dump the balls down into a single hole below it,
Mm-hmm.
and whosever ball goes in,
That might be the
They-
only ball I get in,
That
with an
could
easy
be.
try all day long.
and you win $600. And so that's
Cool.
a pretty good return of your money and the ball drop is very popular. Last year, our winner was Brad Berry.
Very good.
Yes, a local.
There we
And
go.
you don't have to be there. You don't have to be there. We take phone numbers and we call you if you win. So
Okay.
that's a really great. I have a sign on the door out here, and we had someone wander in yesterday and ask if they could buy a couple of balls or buy a couple
That's
of numbers.
good.
So
Lots of ways for people to
lots
help.
of ways to plug in. Absolutely.
Okay. So we're always happy to come talk about the golf tournament and focus. The Kuntz family has been gracious
Oh.
to let us use Ed's name. Right?
Right.
That came with a cost too. I
Yes,
have to think about this.
absolutely.
I have to talk about this once a year. But that was a choice for good for other people. not for them, it's for other people to lend Ed's name to this.
Absolutely.
So in our community, there are people watching right now who will have to think about hospice that never planned on thinking about hospice. Such a great thing for you to be a part of, either as a golfer on the 15th on Father's Day, or give them $5 and see how lucky your ball drop is,
That's right.
or just walk in here and volunteer with Deb, or write a check to Dickinson County Hospice. The need is ongoing. We want to be a community that cares for the people who are at the last point of their life, and we can help them finish it with grace and dignity.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much for showing up today.
Thank
letting
you.
me in, even though
Thank
I was
you.
late.
That's all right.
I'm Dennis Weiss. I work for Eagle Communications. Our town is a terrific place to live, and Dickinson County Hospice is a great organization that we wanted you to know about, and the Kuntz family wanted you to know that they thank you and they care. I'm Dennis Weiss. Have a great day.